My child is very physical. It worries me. I'm not sure they are understanding boundaries. Are they going to cause harm?
I think the short answer is they may. And so again, like for parents to understand, like the questions we hold about kids are usually rooted in anxiety. Um, are they going to cause harm? Are they going to become a drug addict? Are they going to, just spiral out of control? Like put those questions way on the back shelf because like do you even really want to know the answer? Again, this is where, like, if somebody asked me, Malia, like, do you think so and so is like going to harm others? Again, I'm going to reflect. I'm like, you're really worried about your kid harming people. Say more about that. Oh, well, they're always like jumping all over the place. They act, sometimes it's accidental. They're kicking people and the people are reacting really big to them. So it's like, okay, so there is already harm happening, but now we want to think about, I think maybe your question is, how do we stop them from harming people in the future? And helping them to be self-aware. So I feel like it's a good opportunity to begin teaching about kind of what we said before, nuance, context at school. And when I read physicals, like sometimes I'm like, I don't, love languages like touch, physical touch, like and that kind of physical, or like, rough and tumble kids, right? Girls, boys, whoever sometimes really like that physical play. Sometimes it's a sensory need. Like they like to be compressed or compress others. Like it's just a sensory need. It's not like anything sexual or, anything with that context. But I think kind of like what we said with the technology is like understanding like, oh, well, at home it's okay to like hug and kiss each other. At school, we got to think about how else can we show people that we care about them? Can we make them something? Oh, I know your teacher loves coffee. Like maybe we get her a gift card to a coffee place. Like, and again, now you're broadening the ways in which we can show care and affection, right? So it isn't just like, oh, well, this is just the way I do it. You need to receive my way. It's like, oh, there's actually multiple ways I can do this, right? If it's a creative kid, like, wow, you know what? Like you have such a knack for drawing. Like, what if we drew something? What if we drew a portrait of your friend or their, you know what I mean? Like there's so many other ways that you can show something. And I feel like that goes for the positive, physical, nice affection, as well as kind of how we talked about with anger, right? Like, oh, how else can you have this mad in you? I wonder if we need to go out and kick the soccer ball a bunch of times. We can't kick your brother's head, but we can kick a soccer ball. And maybe for the first three kicks, we could pretend it's his head. And then we go from there, right? So I think, again, it's a good opportunity to start teaching about context. I have kids who, they go to art camp and then they come to therapy and they're like, oh, I want to paint a mural on your wall. And I'm like, love that for you in art camp. The thing is, these walls aren't for painting. You can paint the paper. We could paint the paper and actually then tape it on the wall and see how it looks. Right. So again, I'm still not just being like, no, that's a stupid idea. We're not doing that. I'm just like, I hear you. Let's find another way to do what you're trying to do. And then the thing is like, there's the causing harm. And then the thought just came to me too, is like also training repair, right? Like, what do we do when we have harmed someone, right? Do we ignore it? Probably not good. That person's not going to feel restored. Can we write them a note? I've had parents who are like, we wrote a letter and we went to their house and we hand delivered the apology letter. So I think like both, right? Like looking at how we can reduce harm, but then when harm occurs, how do we repair and restore the relationship, and understanding that not everybody's going to be like welcoming back into the circle, but that at least we did our best to repair that relationship.
Right. I think that's obviously in the work that we do and the restorative practices, it's a huge piece of it. And so if that can translate into daily occurrences or experiences. Imagine what that looks like out in the real world, right? Like you're an adult who's been through something and, let's say it wasn't, it was kind of lighter, someone touched your a pregnant belly, whatever it might be, and then realize later to say, to acknowledge it and not just make like it didn't happen. And then
Right.
that person, you know, you're willing to take a little bit of a risk there, obviously, but then also mend as well, potentially. Any
Yeah.
fear, right? Or anything that was in that situation. Or I know parents who, we say that like sexual harassment is a precursor to, more violent behaviors. It doesn't mean that if that, a butt slap occurred, that there's going to be a sexual assault. But it is important, like you were saying, someone's being really physical, like I'm not going to say no harm won't happen there, right? So it's
Yeah.
important that you are aware, and we do give them the skills to support healthy behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.